discussing Walt Whitman's passage to India in this video. This is just a discussion about the 8th stanza. We had already done a detailed discussion of the 7th stanza in the former video. So I hope you have a connection. So anyway, when this poem starts, we come to understand that the poet is actually celebrating 3 technological advancements or achievements of 19th century, and these 3 achievements include Suez Canal, opening of the Suez Canal, then Pacific Railroad and Atlantic Cable. So what is the purpose of all these 3 technological advancements according to Whitman, or in the words of Walt Whitman? He says that these 3 technological advancements have served the purpose of welding the world together, which is actually a long kept dream according to him. Okay, and he literally goes back to the past, and he says that all the efforts of relentless travelers, or the architects, engineers and the scientists, okay, all these have literally got a kind of fulfillment when we reach into this 19th century with all these accomplishments. Okay, man had been relentlessly trying literally to unfold a secret that is kept by God, which is of course in his words unknown to them. They were unknowingly unknowingly performing the task. And he says that this is a new way of worship. Okay, literally looking at the mystery of God, or trying to unfold the mystery of God with all the achievements, or that too on the scientific plane. Okay, all the scientific achievements in the contemporary world. Well, so and he relates these accomplishments on the physical plane. We had discussed it in the former video, and he also considers the merit of all the fables, okay, the fables of Asia and Africa, deep diving Bibles and legends, elder religions, temples, everything. Okay, he contributes all these to the to the vast purpose of God. Okay, and this is the spiritual plane. So God had actually kept everything as a secret, and man had been, okay, from the time Adam and Eve, okay, they fell out of the paradise, their progeny, their myriad progeny, they have been trying to get back to the same world, okay, to the company of the God, and we couldn't accomplish until 19th century. And here he says that the accomplishments of the world literally happens on the physical plane, and moreover, when you look onto these accomplishments of the world, he says that these just because it happens on the physical plane, it is just partial fulfillment. And how can you make it complete? It can be done only by the true Son of God, that is the poet. Okay, and like that he comes to the very purpose which is revealed in front of us, the purpose, the vast purpose of God that is revealed in front of us, which is the harmony and unity of the whole world. Okay, and moreover, he, in the 7th stanza, he undertakes a circumnavigation of the soul, a circumnavigation of this world together with the soul. So he says that in order to reach the spiritual plane, or get to the world of the God, you have to take the company of the soul, and the poet will be making that circumnavigation. And what should a man do then? A man should look inwardly. Okay, he should get into his own primal intuitions. Okay, those prophetic intuitions inside him, and this is how you can accomplish the purpose. Okay, so with this we had stopped the 7th stanza. Let us move on to the 8th stanza now. Moving on to the 8th stanza, he says that, so right now the poet, together with the soul, is on a voyage. He makes use of the metaphor of a ship over here. He says that, oh, we can wait no longer. We do take ship or soul. Joyous we launch out on trackless seas. Fearless for unknown shores on waves of ecstasy to sail. Amid the wafting winds, thou pressing me to thee, I thee to me, O soul, caroling free, singing our song of God, chanting our chant of pleasant exploration, with love and many a kiss. Let others deprecate, let others weep for sin, remorse, humiliation. O soul, thou pleasest me, I thee, are more than any praised or soul. We too believe in God, but with the mystery of God we dare not dally. So this is just a portion out of the 8th stanza. Moving into detail, first line, oh we can wait no longer, we to take ship or soul. So he actually attempts a mystic contemplation of the God over here. And he takes ships, okay, and he takes a ship literally, and he plans to go for a voyage that he has fixed already, and right now he is hurrying fast. Oh, we can wait no longer, we too take ship or soul, joyous we to launch out on trackless seas. So he knows that nobody has literally taken such a journey before, okay, journey to the realm of God. So that's why he says, joyous we launch, we should be happy, we should be joyful, although we are actually moving, we are launching out to trackless seas, because we have to cover trackless seas in order to reach the realm of God. Okay, all these are his speculations. Fearless for unknown shores on waves of ecstasy to sail. Okay, so when you start such a trackless journey to the trackless seas, you might be scared. Okay, so he literally consoled the soul, like we should be fearless. Okay, we should be fearless when we move on to the unknown shores, using the waves of ecstasy that we both are feeling, okay, towards this venture. So in undertaking this journey, he says that he is traveling on the waves of ecstasy. So with that temperament, he says that we should be fearless, okay, although our shores, the shores that we are going to cover, okay, in this vast voyage, okay, of unknown, we should be fearless. Amid the wafting winds, wafting means blowing gently, so we will be moving like that, and he literally gets into that voyage and he feels everything that is happening around him. Amid the wafting winds, thou pressing me to thee, and I thee to me, O soul. So we are the companions, we are the only persons, we are the only living beings in this ship, okay, you, my soul, and my own self too. We both press together, okay, when we pass amid this gently blowing winds, caroling free, okay, we will make carols, singing our song of God. So he says that we will sing, praising God. We will sing all through this voyage, caroling free, chanting our chant of pleasant exploration. So over here, what is that pleasant exploration? The very exploration that they are going to reach out in the realm of God. So we will chant, okay, chant the name of God in our pleasant exploration. With love and many a kiss, let others deprecate, let others weep for sin, remorse, humiliation. O soul, thou pleasest me, and I thee. So he says that we will do this voyage, we will perform this voyage with love and many a kiss. So he says we will adhere each other, okay, adhere to each other. We will move in that divine union, okay. Our company is, more than enough to undertake such a journey. So his theme of the body and the soul, that's stressed over here in these lines. Let others deprecate, okay. So he says he might be referring to the popular idea of the society around you. Okay, once when you have intended to accomplish a divine reunion, okay, basically reunion in this case, just because we were united at the time of Adam and Eve, and in between we got out, and right now we are going to accomplish second union. So it's a reunion. So you shouldn't bother. Let others deprecate means disapprove. You shouldn't bother what the society thinks, okay, in this endeavor, in this effort of yourself in the company of Saul, reaching for divine union. So in that objective you shouldn't disapprove of anybody. Let others talk. People talk, let them talk. Let others weep for sin. Okay, you just needn't bother what is the state, okay, of other people. Let others weep for sin, remorse, okay, they should be feeling sorry for something that they had done, and humiliation. Let they be weep for the sin, remorse, and humiliations that they had already. But we shouldn't mind, okay, we have intended something, we will be moving towards that. Oh Saul, thou pleasest me and I thee. So we both have unity among ourselves. That's enough. We will take this voyage forward. Oh, more than any priest, Saul, we too believe in God. So he says that he expresses the great optimism for life in these lines. Okay, he says usually a priest is a representative of God. Okay, he is the very person who acquaints God to the community in depth. Okay, so and over here he says that if you have the company of your soul, if the self gets dissolved and it unifies with the soul above, and if you both are moving towards the higher spirit, the oversoul, more than any priest, okay, that belief is actually above any priest in the world. But with the mystery of God, we dare not dally, okay. But you shouldn't feel very little about the mystery of God, in the sense like we shouldn't play with the mystery of God. Okay, he is still unknown in this moment.